You know that feeling, right? A brilliant idea pops into your head, you get all excited, and then nothing. It just fades away. Well, what if you could actually change that? In this explainer, we're diving into the psychology of laziness to find a real, practical blueprint for turning your best thoughts into actual, tangible actions.
Okay, let's just start with a number, 3,445. According to the source material, this is how many spare hours the average person has every single year. That's after you account for work, for sleep, for all the daily chores. We're talking about almost 9.5 free hours every single day.
It's a mind-blowing amount of time when you think about it. So the big question is, if we have this absolute treasure chest of free time, where on earth does it all go? How do we get to the end of the year feeling like we never had a spare moment to work on the things that truly matter to us?
Well, it turns out there's one main culprit, one big-time thief that's stealing all those hours away. And I'm willing to bet it's within your reach right now. Let's dig into where all our time is vanishing.
And, yep, no big surprise here. The source is crystal clear. The single biggest black hole for our time, our energy, and our focus is our smartphone. I mean, let's be real. These things are engineered to be the ultimate distraction machines, and boy, are they good at their job.
And this addiction runs way deeper than we think. On average, we check our phones 150 times a day, often without even realizing it. It's so serious that there's now a recognized phobia called nomophobia, the fear of being without your phone. Psychologists are even comparing social media addiction to nicotine. And it's not just in our heads. That blue light physically wrecks our sleep. It's a full-blown assault on our well-being.
Oh, and if that wasn't enough to make you pause, get this. A study from the University of Arizona found that your phone is literally covered in 10 times more bacteria than a toilet seat. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. It's a pretty stark reminder of how we've just let this one device invade every single part of our lives, no questions asked.
So why? Why are these little glass rectangles so impossible to resist? And more importantly, how do we fight back? Well, the answer isn't about willpower. It's about our own brain chemistry. Let's get into the science of what really makes us tick.
The star of the show here is a little chemical called dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's basically the feel-good hormone. When you do something your brain likes, it releases a little bit of dopamine, which feels good and makes you want to do that thing again. It's the engine of all motivation. It's what gets you to chase after any goal.
But here is the crucial part. We can get that dopamine hit from two very different places. On one hand, you have productive dopamine, that deep, lasting satisfaction you get from hitting a goal you worked hard for. And on the other hand, you have destructive dopamine, the cheap, easy junk food high you get from a notification or an endless video scroll. Our phones are basically slot machines for that destructive kind.
But here's the good news. We can absolutely take back control. We can actually train our brains to crave the good stuff. We can naturally boost healthy dopamine with simple things like meditation, exercise, getting good sleep, or even just listening to your favorite music. It's all about rewiring our brains for long-term fulfillment, not cheap, short-term thrills.
Okay, so we've figured out the problem and we get the science behind it. Now for the really good part, the actual practical blueprint for getting things done. This is how you build a system to actually follow through.
Here's a brilliant way to look at it. Stop thinking of your goal as some vague wish. Instead, treat it like a movie you're about to produce. And what does every single great movie need to have before filming can even begin? A script.
So the method is simple. First, you need the big idea. That's the title of your movie, your main goal. Second, you write the script. This is your detailed plan of attack. Third, you break that script down into individual scenes. These are the small, manageable, micro goals. And the final, most important step of all, you have to realize that you are the director.
This quote just nails it. Your mind, with all its excuses, its fears, its desire to procrastinate, it's just an actor. And on a movie set, the actor doesn't call the shots, the director does. You are the director. You decide what happens next. You get to yell, action.
All right, so you have your script. You know that you are the director. But there's one last critical piece to this puzzle. What's the fuel that's actually going to power this whole production and keep it moving forward?
Because a perfect plan is just words on a page without the raw energy you need to actually execute it. And that energy has to come from somewhere incredibly powerful.
Steve Jobs captured this idea perfectly. He talked about something called the deathbed mentality. It's this profound idea that when you remember your time is limited, it makes everything clear.
It sounds a little dark, but it's not about being morbid. It's about being focused. So let's make this really personal. I want you to ask yourself this question right now. If you found out today, for a fact, that you only had 6 months left to live, what would you immediately stop putting off? What goal would instantly go from a nice-to-have to an absolute life-or-death emergency? That's your answer.
And that feeling you just imagined, that intense focus, that is necessity. And it is the ultimate fuel. When a goal becomes a requirement instead of just a choice, all the excuses, all the procrastination, it just melts away. You just do it because you have to.
So here's the final takeaway. Don't wait for some life-changing diagnosis to create that urgency for you. You have to manufacture it yourself. Turn your most important goal into an emergency. Today, stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The script is written. You're the director. Your emergency is now. Action.